He stops texting back, stops chasing, stops trying to convince her, and suddenly, everything shifts. The woman who seemed distant, who was taking him for granted, who barely noticed his efforts, she's now the one reaching out. She's thinking about him, wondering what changed. Why does this happen? You've probably seen it. Maybe you've lived it. A guy spends months proving himself, being available, doing everything right according to the relationship advice he's read online. Nothing works. Then he gives up, walks away, focuses on himself, and she comes back. It seems backward, doesn't it? But there's actual psychology behind this pattern, and understanding it changes everything about how you approach relationships. Here's what most people miss when they think about walking away. They assume it's about playing games or manipulation tactics. But that completely misses the point. What we're really talking about is something much deeper. It's about value perception, self-respect, and the fundamental psychology of human attraction. Let me show you how this actually works. Think about the last time someone was desperately trying to sell you something. A pushy salesperson maybe, or someone who kept lowering their price, kept offering more bonuses, kept chasing you for the sale. How did that make you perceive the value of what they were selling? Exactly. When someone chases too hard, when they're too available, too eager, our brains automatically assume what they're offering can't be that valuable. Because if it was truly valuable, other people would want it too. They wouldn't need to chase us. This is called perceived scarcity, and it operates in every area of human life, including relationships. Women aren't somehow immune to this psychological principle. Neither are men. We all respond to it. But here's where it gets interesting. When a man walks away, he's not just creating scarcity. He's doing something even more powerful. He's demonstrating a quality that's deeply attractive at a primal level: self-respect. The ability to say, I know my worth, and I'm not going to settle for less than I deserve. That's not arrogance, that's self-preservation. And women recognize the difference instantly. Let me paint you a picture. Sarah's been dating Marcus for 3 months. Marcus texts her every morning, makes all the plans, always accommodates her schedule, constantly asks if she's happy, if everything's okay. He's attentive, caring, available whenever she needs him. Sounds perfect, right? But Sarah finds herself pulling away. She can't explain why. Marcus is great on paper, but something feels off. Now compare that to her ex, Jake. Jake had his own life, his own goals. He liked Sarah, but he wasn't rearranging his entire existence around her. When she texted, sometimes he responded in 10 minutes, sometimes in 3 hours, depending on what he was doing. When she tried to play games, acting distant to get his attention, he didn't chase. He just gave her space, assumed she was busy, moved on with his day. Which man did Sarah think about more? Jake. Every single time. Why? Because Marcus's constant availability answered all her questions before she could even ask them. There was no mystery, no challenge, no uncertainty to create that addictive tension that early attraction thrives on. Here's the thing. I'm not saying women want to be treated badly. That's a toxic misreading of this dynamic. What I'm saying is that respect requires reciprocity. When someone gives endlessly without requiring anything in return, it doesn't create gratitude. It creates imbalance. And imbalance breeds contempt, not connection. So, what do? You start by understanding that walking away isn't about punishing her or playing games. It's about having boundaries, real ones. It's about knowing when you're investing more than you're receiving and being willing to redirect that energy elsewhere. Let me show you the deeper psychology at work here. There's a concept called the reward uncertainty principle. Scientists discovered this studying rats of all things. When rats pressed a lever and got food every single time, they'd press it when they were hungry and stop when they were full. Predictable reward, predictable behavior. But when the reward was random, when sometimes they got food and sometimes they didn't, those rats became obsessed. They'd press that lever compulsively, far beyond when they were full, because their brains craved the uncertainty. Human brains work the same way. We're wired to pursue uncertain rewards more intensely than guaranteed ones. This is why gambling is addictive, why intermittent reinforcement is the most powerful behavioral conditioning tool psychologists know. And yes, it's why women often think more about the man who's a little unpredictable, who has boundaries, who won't always be there at her beck and call. But let that sink in for a moment. This isn't about becoming an inconsistent partner or playing psychological games. It's about not being so available, so predictable, so eager that you eliminate the natural tension that attraction needs to survive. Think about this. When you first met her, you had your own life, your own schedule, your own priorities. You were interested, sure, but you weren't revolving your entire existence around her. That version of you was attractive. What changed? Somewhere along the way, you might have started making her the center of your universe, clearing your calendar whenever she's free, always being the one to text first, always accommodating her needs while ignoring your own. You became too available, and availability kills attraction faster than almost anything else. Here's where most guys get confused. They think showing devotion means always being there, always saying yes, always prioritizing her. But that's not devotion, that's dependency. Real devotion comes from a place of choice, not compulsion. When you have options, when you have a full life, when you have self-respect, and you still choose her, that means something. That has weight. But when you're always there because you have nothing else going on, when you're free whenever she wants because you've made her your only priority, that's not devotion. That's desperation wearing a devotion mask. And she can feel the difference, even if she can't articulate it. Let me give you another scenario. David's been seeing Emma for 6 weeks. They've gone on great dates, had deep conversations, spent entire weekends together. Then Emma starts getting flaky. She's busy when he suggests plans. Takes longer to respond to texts. David can feel her pulling back. So, what does he do? Option 1, he doubles down, texts more, tries harder, sends thoughtful messages about how much he values their connection, plans elaborate dates to win her back. Essentially, he chases harder. Option 2, he notices the shift, acknowledges it internally, and pulls back. Not out of spite or manipulation, but out of self-respect. He thinks, if she's not matching my energy, that's useful information. I'll focus on other things and see what happens. In the first scenario, Emma's pulling back just got validated. Her decreased interest lowered David's perceived value, which made him chase, which proved to her subconscious that he's lower value than she is. It's a brutal cycle, but it's how human psychology works. In the second scenario, Emma notices the shift. David's not chasing. He's not trying to convince her. That creates a question in her mind. Wait, why isn't he pursuing me? Does he have other options? Did I misjudge his interest level? Maybe I should reach out. Here's what most people miss about this dynamic. It's not really about the woman at all. It's about you. When you can walk away from someone who isn't giving you what you need, you're demonstrating the most attractive quality a person can have, self-respect. You're saying, I value myself enough to not beg for crumbs. I value my time, my energy, my emotional investment enough to not pour them into something that isn't reciprocal. That's not arrogance, that's mental health. And it's magnetic. But here's where it gets really interesting. The respect women feel for men who can walk away isn't just about attraction or relationship dynamics. It's about trust. Think about it. If a man will abandon his own boundaries, his own needs, his own self-respect to be with her, what else will he compromise on when things get hard? If he doesn't value himself, how can she trust him to make solid decisions for a potential future together? How can she rely on him to stand firm when life throws challenges their way? A man who can't walk away from a bad situation is a man who can't protect himself. And if he can't protect himself, how can she trust him in any meaningful way? Let that sink in. So, what do you do with this information? First, you stop seeing walking away as a tactic and start seeing it as a requirement. Not a manipulation strategy, but a boundary. If someone isn't treating you with respect, if the energy isn't reciprocal, if you're consistently the one putting in more effort, you need to be able to redirect your focus, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Second, you build a life that doesn't revolve around any one person. This is crucial. You can't genuinely walk away if you have nowhere to walk to. If your entire sense of purpose, identity, and happiness depends on one woman, you're not in a position of strength. You're vulnerable. And that vulnerability will seep into every interaction, making you less attractive and less confident. Your career matters, your friendships matter, your health matters, your personal goals matter. Not as distractions from relationships, but as the foundation that makes you someone worth being in a relationship with. When you have a full life, when you're genuinely busy pursuing things that matter to you, you naturally become less available. And that natural unavailability, it's far more powerful than any manufactured scarcity tactic. Third, you recognize the difference between walking away and running away. Walking away is a calm, self-respecting choice. You notice the situation isn't working, you communicate if appropriate, and you redirect your energy. Running away is reactive, emotional, often driven by fear or anger. One is grounded in self-respect. The other is grounded in insecurity. Women can tell the difference. Here's a framework for knowing when to walk away. Ask yourself 3 questions. Am I consistently putting in more effort than I'm receiving? Not occasionally, not during busy weeks or stressful periods. Consistently. If yes, that's a red flag. Has my self-respect taken a hit in this dynamic? Are you making excuses for behavior you wouldn't accept from anyone else? Are you ignoring your own boundaries? Are you feeling anxious, insecure, or constantly on edge? If yes, something's wrong. Would I advise my best friend to stay in this situation? Sometimes we make excuses for ourselves that we'd never make for people we care about. If you wouldn't want your friend in this dynamic, why are you accepting it for yourself? If you answered yes to 2 or more of these questions, it's time to seriously consider walking away. Not as a manipulation tactic, not to make her chase you, but because you deserve better, and staying in a situation that doesn't serve you is self-betrayal. Now, here's the paradox that makes this whole thing work. The moment you're genuinely willing to walk away, the moment you truly value yourself enough to say, I'd rather be alone than disrespected, you stop needing to walk away as often. Because that energy, that self-respect, that quiet confidence, it changes how people treat you. When you're not desperate for connection, when you're not clinging to relationships that don't serve you, when you genuinely believe you'll be okay. Either way, you show up differently. You're calmer, more confident, less reactive. And that version of you, that's the version women respect. That's the version that doesn't need to chase because attraction flows naturally. Think about the men you know who have successful relationships, the ones who genuinely seem to be with partners who respect and value them. Are those men typically the ones who chase the hardest? The ones who abandon their boundaries? The ones who make their partners their entire world? No. They're the men who maintain their sense of self, who have lives they're proud of, who chose their partners from a place of wholeness, not neediness. That's what walking away is really about. Not manipulation, not game playing, but self-preservation, self-respect, the willingness to be alone rather than be in something that diminishes you. And here's the final piece that ties this all together. When you develop the ability to walk away, when you build a life you're proud of, when you stop seeking validation from women and start validating yourself through your actions and choices, something shifts. You stop seeing relationships as something you need and start seeing them as something you choose. You stop evaluating women based on whether they like you and start evaluating whether you genuinely like them, whether they add value to your life, whether they treat you with respect. That shift in perspective changes everything, because now you're not in the frame of hoping she picks you. You're in the frame of deciding if you pick her, and women feel that. They recognize when a man is operating from abundance versus scarcity, and they respond to that confidence with respect. So yes, women respect men who can walk away, but not because walking away is some magic trick that suddenly makes you attractive. They respect it because walking away is evidence of something deeper. Self-respect, boundaries, a full life, the confidence to choose yourself when necessary. Build those things first. Build a life you don't need to escape from. Build friendships that fulfill you. Build a career you're proud of. Build hobbies that challenge you. Build a relationship with yourself that's so solid that no one else's rejection can shake it. When you've built that, you won't need to wonder about when to walk away. You'll know. You'll feel it in your bones when someone isn't matching your energy. And you'll have the strength to redirect your focus without anger, without games, without drama. Just a calm, self-respecting choice to invest your time somewhere it's valued. That's the man women respect, not because he walked away, but because he built a life worth walking toward.